Maya checked her phone for the third time in 5 minutes. Table 7 at Rosewood Cafe. 7 o'clock sharp. Her best friend Rachel had sworn this blind date would be different from the disasters she'd survived before. He's mature, successful, and actually wants something real, Rachel had promised. Maya smoothed her navy dress and took a deep breath. At 26, after 3 years of grueling night shifts at Memorial Hospital, maybe she deserved something good. The cafe door swung open. A man in a crisp grey suit walked in, scanning the room with sharp green eyes. Tall, dark hair, slightly messy despite the formal attire, jawline that could cut glass. Maya's stomach flipped. That had to be him, but then she noticed something else. 3 small figures trailing behind him like ducklings. 3 identical little girls, maybe 4 years old, with matching ponytails and pink dresses. Triplets. Maya's mind went blank. Rachel hadn't mentioned children. Definitely hadn't mentioned 3 of them. The man spotted her, recognition flickering across his face. He approached with an apologetic smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Maya, I'm Ethan." He gestured awkwardly at the girls clinging to his legs. "And these are my daughters, Emma, Ella, and Ellie." Before we continue, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Life Frames. "There was a babysitter emergency," Ethan said quickly, running a hand through his hair. "I tried calling Rachel to reschedule, but she didn't pick up. I completely understand if you want leave." Maya looked at the 3 pairs of identical brown eyes staring up at her. The girls weren't bouncing around or screaming like kids often did. They stood quietly, almost too still, watching her with something that looked like worry. The one in the middle, Emma, maybe, had her tiny hand wrapped protectively around her sister's wrist. Something in Maya's chest tightened. These weren't just well-behaved children. These were children who'd learned to be invisible. "It's fine," Maya heard herself say. "Let's sit." Ethan's eyebrows shot up. "Really? You're sure?" "I'm a pediatric nurse," Maya said, pulling out a chair. "I'm used to chaos. This is actually pretty calm." The tiniest hint of relief crossed Ethan's face as he helped the girls into their seats, stacking cushions so they could reach the table. They moved like a unit, coordinated and silent. Maya noticed how Ella kept glancing at the door, how Ellie's small hands were clasped tightly in her lap, how Emma sat between her sisters like a tiny guardian. Ethan ordered juice for the girls and coffee for himself and Maya. "I really am sorry about this," he said again. This wasn't how tonight was supposed to go. "How was it supposed to go?" Maya asked, genuinely curious. He laughed, a short, tired sound. "Honestly, I have no idea. I haven't done this in 3 years. Rachel practically forced me to agree. 3 years. The same amount of time Maya had been single, buried in 12-hour shifts and student loans. She studied Ethan more carefully now. The expensive suit couldn't hide the exhaustion in his eyes, the tension in his shoulders. This wasn't a man who had his life together despite what the clothes suggested. This was a man barely holding on. "Daddy, can we have cookies?" Emma asked softly. Ethan's entire demeanor shifted when he looked at her. The exhaustion melted into something warm and gentle. "Sure, sweetheart. Which kind do you want?" The girls whispered among themselves before Emma announced, "Chocolate chip. We'll share one." 1 cookie. 3 girls. Maya felt something crack inside her chest. "Why don't we get 3 cookies?" she suggested. "One for each of you?" 3 small heads turned to her in perfect synchronization. Then they looked at their father, waiting for permission. Ethan nodded, and Maya saw his throat work as he swallowed hard. When the waitress brought the cookies, Maya watched the girls nibble at them carefully, making them last. These children knew what it meant to be careful, to not ask for too much, to make things stretch. But their father's suit was expensive. His watch probably cost more than Maya's monthly rent. Nothing about this added up. "So," Ethan said, clearly trying to salvage something normal from the evening. "Rachel said you're a nurse." "Pediatric ICU," Maya confirmed. "Nights, mostly. It's exhausting, but I love it." "That must be hard," Ethan said, and something in his voice suggested he understood hard in ways most people didn't. "What do you do?" Maya asked, then immediately regretted it when she saw him tense. "I run a company," he said vaguely. "It's complicated and boring. Trust me, you don't want to hear about it." Ella knocked over her juice. It happened so fast, her small hand reaching for her cookie, bumping the cup, purple liquid spreading across the white tablecloth. The girl froze completely, her face draining color. "I'm sorry," she whispered, tears already forming. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Hey, it's okay, Maya said quickly, grabbing napkins. Accidents happen, no big deal. But Ella was trembling now, and her sisters had gone rigid in their seats. Ethan was already standing, his face a mixture of concern and something darker, anger, but not at Ella, at something else entirely. Ellie, breathe, he said softly, kneeling beside her chair. You're okay, nobody's upset, it's just juice. The girl's panic didn't ease. If anything, it intensified. Her breathing came in short gasps, her small hands clutching the edge of the table. Maya recognized it immediately. A panic attack. In a 4-year-old. Without thinking, Maya moved to Ella's other side. Ella, honey, look at me. She kept her voice calm, steady. Can you feel your feet on the floor? Press them hard. Good. Now let's count. 1, 2, 3. Slowly, painfully, Ella's breathing evened out. The other 2 girls hadn't moved, their cookies forgotten. They watched their sister with practiced concern that no 4-year-old should have. When Ella finally calmed down, she wouldn't look at anyone. Emma reached over and held her hand. Ethan's jaw was clenched, so tight, Maya thought he might crack a tooth. Girls, why don't you go look at the dessert display, he suggested. Stay where I can see you. The triplets slid off their chairs and walked to the glass case near the counter, their hands linked. The moment they were out of earshot, Ethan dropped his head into his hands. I'm sorry you had to see that, he said, voice rough. Don't apologize, Maya said firmly. What's going on with them? Ethan looked up at her, and Maya saw the decision play out across his face, whether to lie, whether to deflect, whether to trust this stranger across the table. Their mother, he finally said. She was not good. The divorce was finalized 8 months ago, but the damage was done long before that. Maya's nursing instincts kicked into overdrive. Abuse. Emotional, mostly. Ethan's hands curled into fists. Victoria had very specific ideas about how children should behave. Silent, obedient, perfect. Any mistake was met with. Let's just say the girls learned quickly not to make mistakes. But Ella still has panic attacks over spilled juice. All 3 of them do. Over different things. Emma can't handle loud noises. Ellie won't sleep without a light on. And they're all terrified of making anyone upset. He laughed bitterly. I'm doing everything I can, therapy, stability, love, but some days I feel like I'm failing them. Maya studied him carefully. This wasn't the conversation you had on a blind date. This was raw, honest, desperate. Why are you telling me this? Ethan met her eyes. Because in about 30 seconds you're going to decide whether to stay or leave. I'd rather you make that choice with all the information. It was a test, Maya realized. Not of her, exactly, but of the situation. How many women had Ethan tried to date only to have them run when faced with the reality of 3 traumatized children? How many times had he watched people choose the easy exit? Maya looked at the triplets, still standing by the dessert case. Emma had her arms around both sisters now, whispering something that made Ella smile just a little. These children were protecting each other because they'd learned adults couldn't be trusted to do it. I'm staying, Maya said. Ethan blinked. You don't have to. I'm staying, she repeated firmly. Now call your girls back before they think we're upset with them. Something shifted in Ethan's expression. Hope, maybe, or disbelief. He waved to the triplets, who hurried back to the table. The waitress had cleaned up the spill and brought fresh juice. Ella, Maya said gently, I once spilled an entire tray of medications at the hospital. All over my supervisor's shoes. Everyone makes mistakes. It's how we learn. Ella peeked up at her through long lashes. Did you get in trouble? Nope. We cleaned it up together and laughed about it. Maya smiled. Mistakes aren't bad. They're just part of being human. Emma tilted her head, studying Maya with disconcerting intensity for a preschooler. You're nice, she announced finally. Thank you, Maya said. You're pretty nice yourself. Are you going to be Daddy's friend? Ellie asked. Ethan nearly choked on his coffee. Ellie, that's not, we don't. I'd like to be everyone's friend, Maya said diplomatically. If that's okay with you guys? 3 small heads nodded in unison. Ethan looked like he'd been hit by a truck. A good truck, but still a truck. They spent the next hour talking. Well, Maya and Ethan talked while the girls colored on the paper placemats the waitress brought over. Maya learned that Ethan had full custody, that his ex-wife had moved to another state and rarely called, but he'd restructured his entire life around being present for his daughters. He ate from home most days, had a nanny for emergencies, and hadn't had a full night's sleep in 3 years. "What about you?" Ethan asked. "Why is someone like you single?" Maya shrugged. "Work, mostly. 12-hour shifts don't leave much time for dating. And honestly, after my last relationship ended, I wasn't sure I wanted to try again." "What happened?" He wanted someone who could be available at normal hours, who didn't come home exhausted and emotionally drained. Maya stirred her cold coffee. "He said I cared more about other people's kids than I would about our own someday." "That's ridiculous," Ethan said flatly. "Maybe, or maybe he was right, and I'm married to my job." Maya glanced at the triplets, now giggling over their drawings. "But I don't think caring about people is a weakness." "It's not," Ethan agreed. "It's rare." The evening ended, in the parking lot, under buzzing fluorescent lights. The girls were drooping with exhaustion, Emma practically asleep on Ethan's shoulder while Ella and Ellie held his hands. "Thank you," Ethan said quietly. "For staying, for being kind to them." "You didn't have to." Maya looked at the four of them, this exhausted father and his 3 tiny daughters who'd been through too much too young. She thought about her empty apartment waiting for her, about the frozen dinner she'd probably eat alone, about the dating app she'd deleted last month out of sheer frustration. "Can I be honest?" Maya said. "Please." This was supposed to be a disaster. Single dad, with baggage, emergency babysitter situation, 3 kids, on a first date. That's every dating advice column's nightmare scenario. She smiled. "But it wasn't a disaster. It was real, and I haven't had anything real in a long time." Ethan shifted Emma to his other shoulder. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'd like to see you again. All of you." Maya felt her heart hammering. "If that's something you'd want." "Maya, you need to understand what you'd be getting into," Ethan said seriously. "This isn't normal dating. I can't do spontaneous dinners or weekend getaways. My life revolves around their schedules, their therapy appointments, their needs. Some days are really hard. Some days I fail at basic things like remembering to eat, because I'm so focused on them." "I work in pediatric ICU," Maya reminded him. "Hard days are kind of my specialty." "This is different, is it?" Maya challenged. "Because from where I'm standing, you're a father doing everything he can for his kids. That's not baggage, Ethan, that's love. And those girls, they're not problems to solve. They're amazing little humans who deserve people in their lives who see that." Ethan stared at her like she'd spoken a foreign language. "Nobody's ever said that before." "Then you've been meeting the wrong people." Ella tugged on Ethan's hand. "Daddy, I'm sleepy." "I know, sweetheart. We're going home soon." He looked back at Maya. "Are you sure about this?" Maya thought about all the reasons she should say no. The complications, the responsibility, the fact that she barely knew this man and definitely didn't know these children. But she thought about Ella's panic over spilled juice, about Emma's protective stance, about Ellie's quiet watchfulness. She thought about Ethan's exhausted eyes and gentle hands, and the way he'd restructured his entire world around being the father his girls needed. "I'm sure," she said. "Give me your phone." Ethan handed it over, and Maya typed in her number. "Text me when you get home so I know you all made it safely." "That's very nurse-like of you." "It's very me of me," Maya corrected. She crouched down to the girls' level. "It was really nice meeting you 3. Thank you for sharing your daddy with me tonight." Emma, half asleep, gave her a drowsy smile. Ella whispered, "Bye, Miss Maya." Ellie just waved, but there was something less guarded in her expression than there had been at the start of the evening. Maya stood and met Ethan's eyes one more time. "Text me," she repeated. "I will." She watched them walk to a sleek black SUV, watched Ethan carefully buckle each girl into their car seats with practiced efficiency. Watched him glance back at her once before driving away. Only when the taillights disappeared did Maya let out the breath she'd been holding. Her phone buzzed 30 minutes later while she was changing into pajamas. "Home safe. Girls asleep. Still can't believe you stayed." Ethan. Maya smiled and typed back, "I'm glad I did. Same time next week." The response came immediately. "The girls want to know if you like parks." "Love them." "Why?" "Saturday afternoon. Riverside Park. There's a playground. Fair warning, they'll want you to push them on the swings." Maya's chest felt warm. "I think I can handle that." "You're really sure about this?" "Stop asking. I'll see you Saturday." "Thank you, Maya." She fell asleep that night thinking about 3 pairs of identical eyes. and a father who loved his daughters enough to give up dating entirely rather than expose them to someone who wouldn't understand. Thinking about how sometimes the best things came from unexpected mix-ups and emergency babysitter situations. Thinking about how staying might have been the best decision she'd made in years. Saturday arrived with perfect weather, warm sun, light breeze, not a cloud in sight. Maya dressed casually in jeans and a comfortable t-shirt, reminding herself this wasn't a date. This was, what exactly? A trial run. An audition. She pushed the thoughts away and drove to Riverside Park. She spotted them immediately. Ethan sat on a bench near the playground, 3 pink backpacks lined up beside him. The triplets were on the swings, pumping their legs with serious concentration, but not getting much height. "Need a push," Maya called out as she approached. 3 heads whipped around. Emma's face lit up. "Miss Maya, you came." "Of course I came. I promised, didn't I?" Maya caught Ethan's eye over the girls' heads. He looked different today, jeans instead of a suit, plain grey t-shirt, hair slightly damp like he'd rushed through a shower. More relaxed, but also more vulnerable somehow. "Can you push us really high?" Ellie asked, hopefully. "Let's start medium and work our way up," Maya suggested, moving behind Emma's swing. "Ready?" For the next 20 minutes, Maya pushed swings, caught kids at the bottom of slides, and helped construct an elaborate sandcastle. Ethan watched from the bench, though Maya noticed he never fully relaxed. His eyes caked his daughters constantly, ready to intervene at the first sign of trouble. "Daddy," Ella called. "Come play." Ethan joined them, and Maya saw a different side of him. Goofy dad voices, exaggerated reactions to the sandcastle's towers, pretend monster chases that had the girls shrieking with laughter. These children could laugh. Despite everything they'd been through, they could still be joyful. But then Maya noticed something else. Emma's laughter cut off abruptly when another child nearby started crying. Ella froze when a soccer ball rolled too close to their sandcastle. Ellie's entire body went tense when Ava at the next bench raised his voice to answer his phone. They were constantly on alert, Maya realized, waiting for the good moment to end, for something bad to happen, for the world to become scary again. "Hey," Maya said softly to Emma, who'd gone still as stone. "That little boy is crying because he scraped his knee. See his mom? She's helping him. He's going to be fine." Emma watched the scene carefully, then slowly nodded. "It's not our fault." Maya's heart broke a little. "No, sweetheart. Not everything is about you. Sometimes things just happen around you, and that's okay." Ethan was there, suddenly, kneeling in the sand beside them. "What Emma means is that we're learning about what we can control and what we can't. Right, Em?" Emma nodded, leaning against her father's shoulder. "That's very wise," Maya said. "I'm still learning that too, and I'm way older than you." "How old are you?" Ellie asked. 26. "Daddy's 32, Ella volunteered. "That's old." Ethan laughed. "Thanks, sweetheart. I feel ancient now." They moved to a picnic table where Ethan unpacked sandwiches, fruit, and juice boxes. The girls ate carefully, asking permission before reaching for seconds. Maya and Ethan made small talk, but Maya was hyper-aware of the dynamics at play. How Emma took charge of distributing napkins, how Ella checked with her sisters before accepting more food, how Ellie watched every adult who walked past their table. "So," Ethan said when the girls ran back to the playground, "verdict so far." "On what?" "On us. On this." He gestured vaguely at the park. "I know this isn't what you signed up for." "Ethan, I think we need to stop talking about what I signed up for," Maya said gently. "I'm here because I want to be. Because your daughters are incredible. Because you're doing an amazing job even if you don't think you are." "I forget their school picture day," Ethan said quietly. "I sent them in regular clothes while every other kid was dressed up." Emma cried for an hour. "I once gave a patient the wrong medication," Maya countered. "Caught it immediately, no harm done, but I still think about it at 3 in the morning sometimes. We're human, Ethan, we make mistakes. They deserve better than my mistakes. They deserve a father who loves them," Maya said firmly. "Which they have. Everything else is just details." Ethan looked at her for a long moment. "Why are you so understanding about all this?" Maya considered the question. "When I was 8, my mom got sick. Really sick. My dad worked 2 jobs to keep up with medical bills. I spent a lot of time being scared, being careful, trying not to be a burden." She watched the triplets on the playground. "I see myself in them, and I see in you the parent I wish my dad had let himself be, present instead of perfect. Is your mom okay now?" "She died when I was 12. But those 4 years taught me that love isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, even when things are hard. Maya smiled sadly. Your girls already know you show up. That's what matters. Before Ethan could respond, Ella ran over crying. Emma pushed me. Ethan was on his feet instantly, but Maya noticed Emma wasn't far behind, also crying. She called me bossy, Emma sobbed. I was just trying to help. Ethan looked between his daughters, clearly trying to figure out what had happened. Maya stood up slowly. Can I try something? She asked. Ethan nodded, looking relieved. Maya sat on the ground, bringing herself to the girls' level. Ellie appeared too, completing the set. Okay, here's what I think happened, Maya said. Emma was trying to help, maybe telling everyone what to do. Ella got frustrated and pushed. Now everyone's upset. Does that sound right? Both girls nodded, tears still streaming. Here's the thing about being in a family, Maya continued. Sometimes people bug us, sometimes we bug them. That's normal, but pushing isn't okay, and calling names isn't okay. So what do we do? Say sorry? Ella whispered. That's a good start, but sorry isn't magic. We have to mean it, and try to do better next time. Maya looked at Emma. When you're trying to help, how do you say it? I just tell them what to do, Emma admitted. How would it feel if someone always told you what to do? Emma's face scrunched up. Bah. So maybe instead of telling, you could ask, hey, do you want help? Or can I make a suggestion? Maya turned to Ella. And when you're frustrated, what could you do instead of pushing? Use my words, Ella said uncertainly. Exactly. Tell Emma you need space, or that you want to do things your way. Maya sat back. Nobody's perfect. We all mess up. The important part is trying to do better. Can you both try? The girls looked at each other, then simultaneously hugged. Crisis averted. Ethan was staring at Maya like she'd performed a miracle. How did you do that? I deal with kids fighting over toys in the hospital playroom all the time, Maya said, standing up and brushing off her jeans. Same principles apply. 2 weeks passed. Maya saw Ethan and the girls 4 more times, twice at the park, once for pizza, once at a children's museum. Each time she learned more. Emma was the natural layer but sometimes overwhelmed herself with responsibility. Ella was sensitive and artistic, drawing elaborate pictures. Ellie was the observer, quiet but fiercely intelligent, who noticed everything. And Ethan? Ethan was complicated, loving but guilty, patient but exhausted, hopeful but terrified. Maya found herself thinking about him at odd moments during her shifts, wondering if the girls had good days, if he remembered to eat lunch, if he ever let himself breathe. She was getting attached to all of them, and it scared her. Then Tuesday happened. Maya's phone rang at 11 p.m. She'd just gotten home from a brutal shift, 2 codes, 1 death, emotional parents everywhere. She was considering just falling asleep in her scrubs, when she saw Ethan's name on the screen. Hello. Maya. I'm sorry to call so late. Ethan's voice was strained. I don't know who else to call, and Rachel isn't answering. Ethan. Slow down. What's wrong? It's Emma. She's having a panic attack, but it's bad, worse than usual, and I can't calm her down. She's hyperventilating and I'm worried she's going to pass out or... His voice cracked. I don't know what to do. Maya was already grabbing her keys. Send me your address. I'm coming over. You don't have to. Address. Now. He texted it, immediately. Maya drove 15 minutes to a nice neighborhood. Older homes with front porches and mature trees. Ethan's house was the 2-story colonial, with lights blazing from every window. He answered the door before she could knock, looking wrecked. She's upstairs. Maya followed him to a bedroom painted lavender with 3 small beds and a mountain of stuffed animals. Emma sat on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, breathing in short, panicked gasps. Ella and Ellie hovered nearby, crying quietly. Maya knelt in front of Emma. Hey sweetheart. It's Miss Maya. I'm here now. She kept her voice calm, clinical almost. Emma, I need you to listen to my voice. We're going to breathe together, okay? In through your nose for 4 counts. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. It took 20 minutes. 20 long minutes of breathing exercises. Gentle pressure on Emma's shoulders. Steady calm reassurance. Ethan sat with Ella and Ellie, holding them while they watched their sister struggle. When Emma finally calmed down enough to breathe normally, she immediately burst into tears. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm sorry, Daddy. I tried to be good. I tried. You are good, Ethan said fiercely, moving to hold her. You're so good, Em. This isn't your fault. Maya backed away, giving them space. She corralled Ella and Ellie to their beds. "Your sister is okay," she assured them. "She just got really scared, and sometimes our bodies react in big ways, but she's safe, and Daddy's helping her." "Do we get scared too much?" Ellie asked in a tiny voice. The question gutted Maya. "No, honey, you get scared exactly the right amount for what you've been through. And it's going to get better, I promise." She read them a story, stayed until they fell asleep, then went downstairs where she found Ethan in the kitchen, head in his hands. Emma was asleep on the couch in the living room, visible through the doorway. Maya poured 2 glasses of water and sat down across from him. "What triggered it?" "I don't even know," Ethan said miserably. "We were reading bedtime stories. Everything was fine. Then Emma just broke. Started crying about how she has to keep her sisters safe, how she's not doing a good enough job, how something bad is going to happen. She's 4 years old carrying the weight of the world," Maya said quietly. "That's too much for anyone, especially a child." "I know, her therapist says the same thing, but how do I get her to stop? How do I make her understand she doesn't have to be the parent?" Maya reached across the table and took his hand. "You keep loving her, you keep being consistent, you keep showing all of them that they're safe. Eventually they'll believe it. And if they don't, what if I can't fix this?" Ethan's voice broke. "What if Victoria damaged them too much?" "Ethan, look at me." Maya waited until he met her eyes. "Those girls are not broken. They're hurt, yes. They're struggling, yes. But they're also resilient and brave and capable of healing. You're not trying to fix them because they're not broken. You're helping them recover from trauma. There's a difference." "I feel like I'm drowning," Ethan admitted. "Every day is a battle. Every bedtime is a risk. I never know what's going to trigger them. And I'm so tired, Maya. I'm so damn tired." Maya made a decision. "When's your nanny available next?" "Thursday afternoon." "Why?" "Because you're going to take a nap while I stay with the girls." "Maya, I can't ask you to." "You're not asking. I'm offering. Actually, I'm insisting." She squeezed his hand. "You can't pour from an empty cup, Ethan. You need rest." "I barely know you," he said, but there was hope in his voice. "You know me well enough to call me at 11 p.m. during a crisis. You know me well enough to let me into your home and around your daughters. That's not barely knowing someone." Maya smiled tiredly. "Let me help." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. He didn't let fall. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you need it." "Because they need it." Maya paused. "And because I care about all 4 of you more than is probably wise for someone who met you 3 weeks ago." That broke him. Ethan put his head down on the table and cried, silent, shaking sobs of someone who'd been holding everything together for too long. Maya moved her chair closer and put her hand on Miss' shoulder, letting him fall apart, because sometimes that's what people needed to do. When he finally stopped, he looked at her with red-rimmed eyes. "I'm a mess." "You're human," Maya corrected. "There's a difference. I don't deserve your help." "That's not how help works. You don't have to deserve it. You just have to accept it." Maya stood up. "I'm sleeping on your couch tonight." "Don't argue. Someone needs to be here in case Emma wakes up scared, and you need actual sleep." "Maya, couch, now, go to bed." Ethan looked like he wanted to argue, but exhaustion won. "Thank you," he whispered. "You're welcome. Now go before you fall asleep at the kitchen table." He went. Maya made herself comfortable on the couch next to Emma's sleeping form, covering the little girl with a blanket and keeping watch through the night. Around 3 a.m., Emma stirred and whimpered. Maya was there immediately, smoothing her hair back. "You're okay, sweetheart. You're safe. I'm right here." Emma's eyes opened briefly. "Miss Maya." "Right here. Don't leave." "I won't. I promise." Emma fell back asleep. Maya stayed awake, watching this little girl who carried too much, thinking about the father upstairs who was trying his best, about the other 2 girls who'd had to grow up too fast. She thought about how she'd walked into a coffee shop 3 weeks ago expecting a normal blind date, and instead found a family that needed her. No, that wasn't quite right. A family she needed too. Thursday afternoon came with Maya sitting in Ethan's living room while the girls napped upstairs. Ethan had slept for 4 hours the previous Tuesday night, the longest stretch he'd had in months. Maya had stayed through Wednesday morning, helping with breakfast and getting the girls ready before heading home to shower and sleep before her next shift. They hadn't talked about it, about what it meant that Maya had stayed, that Ethan had let her, that they'd crossed some invisible line from casual dating into something far more significant. But now, with quiet settling over the house, and afternoon sun streaming through the windows, They couldn't avoid it anymore. I need to be honest with you, Ethan said. Coffee mug held between both hands like a shield. This thing with us, whatever it is, it's moving fast. Too fast, probably. Maya nodded. I know. And I need to know if you're ready for what that means. Because I can't do casual. I can't introduce someone into my daughter's lives only to have them leave. They've had enough people leave. I understand that. Do you? Ethan set down his mug. Maya, they're already attached to you. Emma talks about you constantly. Ella drew you a picture yesterday. Ellie asked. When you're coming back. If this doesn't work out, if you decide this is too much, it won't just hurt me. It'll hurt them, and I can't. His voice caught. I can't let anyone hurt them again. Maya took a careful breath. This was the moment. Decision time. She could walk away now, protect herself from the complexity of an instant family and 3 traumatized children, and a man carrying more weight than anyone should. Or she could jump, fully commit, risk her heart on something that had started as a blind date mix-up. I'm not going anywhere, she said. Ethan shook his head. You say that now, but I'm not going anywhere, Maya repeated, stronger this time. Ethan, I know this is fast. I know it's complicated, but I've spent 3 weeks getting to know your daughters, and they're amazing. And I've spent 3 weeks getting to know you, and you're everything I didn't know I was looking for. I have 3 kids. I'm a single father with enough baggage to fill a cargo plane. I work too much. I'm constantly stressed. And I'll never be able to put you first, because my daughters have to come first. Always. I'm not asking to come first, Maya said gently. I'm asking to be part of this, whatever this becomes. I work night shifts in pediatric ICU. I'm used to crisis situations and emotional intensity and putting others' needs before my own. I'm not scared of your life, Ethan. I'm scared of not being in it. Ethan stared at her. You really mean that? I really do. Maya leaned forward.